Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. M4 carbine. The M4 carbine is a shorter and lighter variant of the M16A2 assault rifle. The M4 is a 5.56 x 45 mm NATO, air-cooled, direct impingement gas-operated, magazine-fed carbine. It has a barrel and a telescoping stock. The M4 carbine is extensively used by the United States Armed Forces and is largely replacing the M16 rifle in United States Army and United States Marine Corps combat units as the primary infantry weapon. The M4 is also capable of mounting the M203 and M320 grenade launchers. The distinctive step in its barrel is for mounting the M203 with the standard hardware. The M4 is capable of firing in semi-automatic and 3-round burst modes, while the M4A1 is capable of firing in semi-auto and full automatic modes. History. Following the adoption of the M16 rifle, carbine variants were also adopted for close-quarters operations. The CAR-15 family of weapons served through the Vietnam War. However, these carbines had design issues, as the barrel length was hard to 10 inches, which upset the ballistics, reducing its range and accuracy, and led to considerable muzzle flash and blast, so that a large flash suppressor had to be fitted. Nevertheless, as a short-range weapon it is quite adequate, and thus, its caliber is classed as a submachine gun. In 1988, Colt began work on a new carbine design called the XM4, combining the best features of the Colt Commando and M16A2 rifles. The XM4 was given a longer 14.5-inch barrel, with the M16A2's 1 to 7-inch rifle twist, to use the heavier 62-grain M855 rounds. The extended barrel improved the XM4's ballistics, reduced muzzle blast, and gave the XM4 the ability to mount a bayonet and the M203 grenade launcher. The XM4 was also given the M16A2's improved rear sight and cartridge deflector, as well as other minor refinements. In 1994, the U.S. military officially accepted the XM4 into service as the M4 carbine, to replace M16A2's in certain roles. The M4 carbine has also replaced most submachine guns and selected handguns in U.S. military service, as it fires more effective rifle ammunition that offers superior stopping power and is better able to penetrate modern body armor. The United States Marine Corps has ordered its officers and staff non-commissioned officers to carry the M4 carbine instead of the M9 handgun. This is in keeping with the Marine Corps doctrine, every Marine a rifleman. The Marine Corps, however, chose the full-sized M16A4 over the M4 as its standard infantry rifle. United States Navy Corpsmen E5 and below are also issued M4s instead of the M9, while ordinary riflemen in the Marine Corps are armed with M16A4s. M4s are fielded by troops in positions where a full-length rifle would be too bulky, including vehicle operators, fireteam and squad leaders. As of 2013, the U.S. Marine Corps had 80,000 M4 carbines in their inventory. By July 2015, Major Marine Corps commands were endorsing switching to the M4 over the M16A4 as the standard infantry rifle, just as the Army had done. This is because of the carbine's lighter weight, compact length, and ability to address modern combat situations that happen mostly within close quarters. If a squad needs to engage at longer ranges, the M27 IAR can be used as a designated marksman rifle. Approval of the change would move the M16 to support personnel. While armories already have the 17,000 M4s in the inventory needed to outfit all infantrymen who need one. In October 2015, Commandant Robert Neller formally approved of making the M4 carbine the primary weapon for all infantry battalions, security forces, and supporting schools in the U.S. Marine Corps. The switch is to begin in early 2016 and be completed by September 2016. Improved M4. On 1 July 2009, the U.S. Army took complete ownership of the M4 design. This allowed companies other than Colt to compete with their own M4 designs. The Army planned on fielding the last of its M4 requirement in 2010. On 30 October 2009, Army weapons officials proposed a series of changes to the M4 to Congress. Requested changes included an electronic round counter that records the number of shots fired, a heavier barrel, and possibly replacing the direct impingement system with a gas piston system. The benefits of this, however, have come under scrutiny from both the military and civilian firearms community. According to a PDF detailing the M4 carbine improvement plans released by PEO Soldier, the direct impingement system would be replaced only after reviews were done comparing the direct impingement system to commercial gas piston operating system to find out and use the best available operating system in the U.S. Army's improved M4A1. In September 2010, the Army announced it would buy 12,000 M4AYs from Colt Firearms by the end of 2010, and would order 25,000 more M4A1s by early 2011. The service branch planned to buy 12,000 M4A1 conversion kits in early 2011. In late 2011, the Army bought 65,000 more conversion kits. From there the Army had to decide if it would upgrade all of its M4s. On 21 April 2012, the U.S. Army announced to begin purchasing over 120,000 M4A1 carbines to start re-equipping frontline units from the original M4 to the new M4A1 version. The first 24,000 were to be made by Remington Arms Company. Remington was to produce the M4A1s from mid-2013 to mid-2014. After completion of the contract, it was to be between Colt and Remington to produce over 100,000 more M4AYs for the U.S. Army. Because of efforts from Colt to sue the Army to force them not to use Remington to produce M4s, the Army reworked the original solicitation for new M4A1s to avoid legal issues from Colt. On 16 November 2012, Colt's protest of Remington receiving the M4A1 production contract was dismissed. Instead of the contract being re-awarded to Remington, the Army awarded the contract for 120,000 M4A1 carbines worth $77 million to FN Herstal on the 22nd of February 2013. The order is expected to be completed by 2018. Design. The M4 and its variants fire 5.56 x 45 mm NATO ammunition, and are gas-operated, magazine-fed, selective-fire firearms with either a multi-position telescoping stock or a fixed A2. All are tactical stock. The M4 is a shorter and lighter variant of the M16A2 rifle, with 80% parts commonality. The M4 is similar to much earlier compact M16 versions, such as the 1960s era XM177 family. Some of those visual designs are obvious in both weapons, as With many carbines, the M4 is handy and more convenient to carry than a full-length rifle. The price is slightly inferior ballistic performance compared to the full-size M16. With its 5.5 longer barrel, this becomes most apparent at ranges of 200 yards and beyond. While the M4's maneuverability makes it a candidate for non-infantry troops, it also makes it ideal for close-quarters battle. The M4, along with the M16A4, have mostly replaced the M16A2 in the Army and Marines. The U.S. Air Force, for example, has transitioned completely to the M4 for security forces squadrons, while other armed personnel retain the M16A2. The U.S. Navy uses M4A1s for special operations and bi-vehicle crews. Some features of the M4 and M4A1 compared to a full-length M16 series rifle include, however, there have been some criticisms of the carbine, such as lower muzzle velocities and louder report due to the shorter barrel, additional stress on parts because of the shorter gas system, and a tendency to overheat faster than the M16A2. Accessories. Like all the variants of the M16, the M4 and the M4A1 can be fitted with many accessories, such as night vision devices, suppressors, laser pointers, telescopic sights, bipods, either the M203 or M320 grenade launchers, the M26 mass shotguns, forward hand grips, and anything else compatible with the MIL STD 1913 Picatinny rail. Other common accessories include the AN, PEQ-2, Advanced Combat Optical Gun Sight, and M68 CCO. EOTech holographic weapon sights are part of the SOPMOD II package. Visible and IR lights of various manufacturers are also commonly attached using various mounting methods. As with all versions of the M16, the M4 accepts a blank firing attachment for training purposes. In January 2017, a USMC unit deployed with suppressors mounted to every infantry M4 service weapon. Exercises showed that having all weapons suppressed improved squad communication and surprise during engagements. Disadvantages included additional heat and weight, increased maintenance, and the greater cost of equipping so many troops with the attachment. SOPMOD Block I. U.S. Special Operations Command developed the Special Operations Peculiar Modification Block I kit for the carbines used by units under its jurisdiction. The kit features an M4A1, a rail interface system handguard developed by Knight's Armament Company, a shortened quick detachable M203 grenade launcher and leaf sight, a KAC sound suppressor, a KAC backup rear sight, an Insight Technologies AN, PEQ-2A visible laser, infrared designator, along with Trigicon's ACOG Taro 1 and SN model and reflex sights, and a night vision sight. This kit was designed to be configurable for various missions, and the kit is currently in service with Special Operations units. SOPMOD Block II. A second-generation SOPMOD kit includes innovative optics, such as the ELK Inspector Drive, Trigicon's ACOG TA01 ECOS model, and the EOTech 553. Block II uses the RIS-2 rails, manufactured by Daniel Defense in both a 9.5 and 12.5 length variants. Except for the very first delivery order, all U.S. military issue M4 and M4A1 carbines possess a flat-top NATO M1913 specification rail on top of the receiver. For attachment of optical sights and other aiming devices, Trigicon TA-01 and TA-31 advanced combat optical gun sights, EOTech 550 series holographic sights, and Aimpoint M68 close combat optic being the favorite choices, and a detachable rail-mounted carrying handle. Standards are the Colt Model 920 and 921. Variants of the carbine built by different manufacturers are also in service with many other foreign Special Forces units, such as the Australian Special Air Service Regiment, while the SASR uses weapons of essentially the same pattern built by Colt for export. The British SASH uses a variant on the basic theme, the Colt Canada C8SFW. M4 MWS Modular Weapon System. Colt Model 925 carbines were tested and fitted with the Knights Armament Corporation M4 RAS under the designation M4E2. But this designation appears to have been scrapped in favor of mounting this system to existing carbines without changing the designation. The U.S. Army Field Manual specifies for the Army that adding the rail adapter system turns the weapon into the M4 MWS, or Modular Weapon System. M4A1. The M4A1 carbine is a fully automatic variant of the basic M4 carbine intended for special operations use. The M4A1 has a S1F trigger group, while the M4 has a S13 trigger group. The M4A1 is used by almost all U.S. special operation units including, but not limited to, Marine Force Recon, Army Rangers, Army Special Forces, Navy SEALs, United States Air Force Pararescue and Air Force Combat Control Teams. It has a maximum effective range of about. The fully automatic trigger gives a more consistent trigger pull, which leads to better accuracy. According to Mark A. Westrom, owner of Armorite, Inc., automatic fire is better for clearing rooms than burst fire. In the last few years, M4A1 carbines have been refit or received straight from factory with barrels with a thicker profile under the handguard. This is for a variety of reasons such as heat dissipation during full auto and accuracy as a byproduct of barrel weight. These heavier barrel weapons are also fitted with a heavier buffer known as the H2. Out of 3 sliding weights inside the buffer, the H2 possesses 2 tungsten weights and 1 steel weight, versus the standard H buffer, which uses 1 tungsten weight and 2 steel weights. These weapons, known by Colt as the Model 921HB, have also been designated M4A1. And as far as the government is concerned, the M4A1 represents both the 921 and 921HB. Conversion of M4S to the M4A1 began in 2014, the start of all U.S. Army forces being equipped with the automatic variant. Though in service with Special Forces, combat in Afghanistan showed the need for providing automatic suppression fires during fire and movement for regular soldiers. The 101st Airborne Division began fielding new-built M4A1s in 2012, and the U.S. 1st Infantry Division became the first unit to convert their M4S to M4A1 standard in May 2014. Upgrades included a heavier barrel to better dissipate heat from sustained automatic firing, which also helps the rifles use the M855A1 EPR that has higher proved pressures and puts more strain on barrels. The full auto trigger group has a more consistent trigger pull, whereas the burst group's pull varies on where the fire control group is set. resulting in more predictable and better accuracy on semi-automatic fire. Another addition is an ambidextrous selector lever for easier use with left-handed shooters. The M4A1 conversion only increases weapon weight from 2, counting a backup iron sight, forward pistol grip, empty magazine, and sling. Each carbine upgrade costs $240 per rifle, for a total cost of $120 million for 500,000 conversions. 300 conversions can be done per day to equip a brigade combat team per week, with all M4A1 conversions to be completed by 2019. Enhanced M4. For the individual carbine competition, Colt submitted their enhanced M4 design, also known as the Colt Advanced Piston Carbine. The weapon has a suppression-ready fluted barrel, which is lighter and cools better than previous M4 barrels. It is claimed to have markedly better accuracy. To improve reliability, Colt used an articulating link piston which reduces the inherent stress in the piston stroke by allowing for deflection and thermal expansion. In traditional gas piston operating systems, the force of the piston striking the bolt carrier can push the bolt carrier downwards and into the wall of the buffer tube, leading to accelerated wear and even chipped metal. This is known as carrier tilt. The ALP allows the operating rod to wiggle to correct for the downward pressure on the bolt and transfers the force straight backwards in line with the bore and buffer assembly, eliminating the carrier tilt. This relieves stress on parts and helps to increase accuracy. The individual carbine competition was cancelled before a winning weapon was chosen. Arm West LLC M4. In 2014, American firearms designer Jim Sullivan provided a video interview regarding his contributions to the M16, M4 family of rifles when working for Armorite. A noted critic of the M4, he illustrates the deficiencies found in the rifle in its current configuration. In the video, he demonstrates his Arm West LLC modified M4 with enhancements he believes necessary to rectify the issues with the weapon. Proprietary issues aside, the weapon is said to borrow features in his prior development, the Ultimax. Sullivan has stated the weapon can fire from the closed bolt in semi-automatic and switch to open bolt when firing in fully automatic, improving accuracy. The weight of the cyclic components of the gun have been doubled compared to the standard M4, which in automatic fires 750,950 rounds a minute. The rate of fire of the Arm West M4 is heavily reduced both to save ammunition and reduce barrel wear. The reduced rate also renders the weapon more controllable and accurate in automatic firing. Performance. The M4 carbine has been used for close quarters operations where the M16 would be too long and bulky to use effectively. It has been a compact, light, customizable, and accurate weapon. This has come at the cost of reliability and maintainability. Failure to maintain the M4 causes malfunctions. This became apparent as it saw continued use in the sandy environments of Iraq and Afghanistan. Despite this, in post-combat surveys, 94% of soldiers rated the M4 as an effective weapons system. 2006 CNA report. In December 2006, the Center for Naval Analyses released a report on U.S. small arms in combat. The CNA conducted surveys on 2,608 troops returning from combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. Over the past 12 months, only troops who fired the weapons at enemy targets were allowed To participate, 917 troops were armed with M4 carbines, making up 35% of the survey. 89% of M4 users reported they were satisfied with the weapon. 90% were satisfied with handling qualities such as handguards, size, and weight. M4 users had the highest levels of satisfaction with weapon performance, including 94% with accuracy, 92% with range, and 93% with rate of fire. Only 19% of M4 users reported a stoppage, while 82% of those that experienced a stoppage said it had little impact on their ability to clear the stoppage and re-engage their target. 53% of the M4 users never experienced failures of their magazines to feed. 81% did not need their rifles repaired while in theater. 80% were confident in the M4's reliability. Defined as level of soldier confidence the weapon will fire without malfunction. And 83% were confident in its durability. Defined as level of soldier confidence the weapon will not break and need repair. Both factors were attributed to high levels of soldiers performing their own maintenance. 54% of M4 users offered recommendations for improvements. 20% of requests were for greater bullet lethality, and 10% was better quality magazines, as well as other minor recommendations. Some M16 users expressed their desire to be issued the M4. Some issues have been addressed with the issuing of the improved STANAG magazine in March 2009, and the M855A1 enhanced performance round in June 2010. 2007 dust test. In the fall 2007, the Army tested the M4 against 3 other carbines in sandstorm conditions. At Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, the Heckler & Koch XM8 Fabrique Nationale de Herstal SOF Combat Assault Rifle and the Heckler & Koch HK416. 10 of each type of rifle were used to fire 6,000 rounds each, for a total of 60,000 rounds per rifle type. The M4 suffered far more stoppages than its competitors, 882 stoppages, 19 requiring an armorer to fix. The XM8 had the fewest stoppages, 116 minor stoppages and 11 major ones, followed by the FN's car, with 226 stoppages, and the HK416 with 233. Despite 863 minor stoppages, termed Class 1 stoppages which require 10 seconds or less to clear, or Class 2 stoppages which require more than 10 seconds to clear, the M4 functioned well, with over 98% of the 60,000 total rounds firing without a problem. The Army said it planned to improve the M4 with a new cold hammer-forged barrel to give longer life and more reliable magazines to reduce the stoppages. Magazine failures caused 239 of the M4's 882 failures. Army officials said the new magazines could be combat-ready by spring if testing went well. The Army began issuing an improved STANAG magazine in March 2009. According to the Army, the M4 only suffered 296 stoppages, and said that the high number reported could be attributed to discrepancies in the scoring process. The Army Testing Command stated that if the number of stoppages caused by a broken part met some threshold, they would be eliminated from the final report pending redesign of the part. Colt also claimed that the testing conditions were unfair to the M4, as the M4s used in the test were normal guns from active infantry, with remaining service life varying randomly. Further, the trial M4s had burst mode fire groups, which are more complicated and prone to failure than the fully automatic fire groups the other manufacturers presented for testing. There were 3 extreme dust tests performed in 2007. The second summer 2007 results showed a large difference from the later fall test, with the M4 having 148 Class 1 stoppages due to rifle malfunctions and 148 Class 1 stoppages due to magazine stoppages. The full-size M16 rifle had a total of 61 stoppages during the same extreme dust test. Reliability. In early 2010, 2 journalists from the New York Times spent 3 months with soldiers and Marines in Afghanistan. While there, they questioned around 100 infantrymen about the reliability of their M4 carbines, as well as the M16 rifle. Troops did not report to be suffering reliability problems with their rifles. While only 100 troops were asked, they fought at least a dozen intense engagements in Helmand Province, where the ground is covered in fine powdered sand that can stick to firearms. Weapons were often dusty, wet, and covered in mud, and tense firefights lasted hours, with several magazines being expended. Only 1 soldier reported a jam when his M16 was covered in mud after climbing out of a canal. The weapon was cleared, and resumed firing with the next chambered round. Furthermore, a Marine Chief Warrant Officer reported that with his battalion's 700 M4s and 350 M16s, there were no issues. The reliability of the M4 has increased as the design was upgraded. In 1990, the M4 was required to fire 600 mean rounds between stoppages using M855 ammunition. In 2013, the current M4A1 version can fire 1691 mean rounds between stoppages using M855A1 ammunition. During the 2009 Marine Corps Infantry automatic rifle testing, the Colt IAR displayed AMRBS of Class 1, 2 stoppages of 952 rounds, with a MRBEFF of Class 3 stoppages of 60,000 rounds. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.